So it's a highly clickbaity title. It's very common. I like the catchy phrase of the permanent underclass and AI workflows. But the main idea of this talk is to kind of determine you to improve yourself and build a personal AI development workflow. Who am I? Not stolen from the previous presentation. I can see now that this is a common gimmick. I'm Ovi. I'm a senior software developer for more than I would like to admit. I've been a tim.js speaker since the very early days of tim.js. I don't present very often, but when I do, I tell to myself that I have something interesting to say. Nobody said otherwise. And yeah, I'm a terminal addict since high school. And I use NeoVim, by the way. Getting that out of the way. What exactly is a personal development workflows and what this talk is about? It's basically a bunch of tools and a fine-tuned process, fine-tuned by yourself according to your liking. It's also not one size fits all. That's basically the main point. It should be personal. You should, everyone should have their own workflows. So this is not a bulletproof recommendation. Feel free to pick and choose from what I talk about here and try to adjust it to your own workflows. And more than that, it's about understanding one layer deeper than the layer that you work in daily. That's a nice mantra. I didn't invent it myself. It's from the Primagen. And yeah, basically, why do it? Why bother having a personal workflow instead of just relying on something, a tool or a product that already has things made up for you? Token spend control would be one reason. We'll detail everything in the next slides. The second reason would be product feature control. Then hopefully you become a lot more productive. That's the ideal. And also it's cozy. And we'll see what cozy means. Regarding the token spend control, the idea of free unlimited tokens was a really nice experiment while it lasted, but more recently the markets adjusted, and it's a thing that experts, and when I say experts I mean different CEOs from Silicon Valley that I blindly trust from following them on Twitter, say that cheap tokens, it's kind of a closing window, and even if models become smarter, they tend to consume more tokens and run longer. The first one to take note of this was Cursor, I think almost 2 years ago already, when they hiked their prices. Initially, Cursor, on the cheapest plan, you had unlimited calls to Cloud Code and Opus, and then they basically allowed you a certain amount of tokens per month on the subscription, and that was kind of unheard of. More recently, at the beginning of this year, Cursor, Copilot and Gemini followed up. Currently, as far as I know, you can't even create a new Copilot subscription, personal subscription, and you're charged API prices exclusively, and there's no more free tier in Gemini, which was their whole selling point initially. And let's face it, you're too poor to run loops for days like Steinberger or Boris, because those loops that they use to, I don't know, rewrite bun in Rust and yeah, what have you, costs. I think Steinberger is spending about $1 million in token. If you calculate API prices, and the rewrite of bun was somewhere around $200,000 or something like that, which is debatable, but if it's worth for a company, considering how many engineers and how much time it would take, but definitely not really a personal choice. What also helps having a personal flow is you can start min-maxing expensive models like Fable and other state-of-the-art models, and also this is a bit harsh, but usually inexperienced devs try to they blow up kind of the company's allocation of the token budget, and you don't really want to be that dev if you want to get along with your colleagues. Okay, the second reason to develop a workflow, it has to do with product features. I think Cursor is already at its third major redesign, and it kind of sucks if you get used to some shortcuts, some ways how the menu is arranged, etc., and you have maybe deadlines and they just change it. The third version is kind of a copy of Codex. Yeah, it doesn't really look like Cursor anymore, and it's not in your control. Like, they decide what to do with their product. You can choose to buy it or not. Yeah, remember when VS Code was used to be the light version, the lightweight version, I mean, of IDEs, because back in the day there was Visual Studio and maybe others from IntelliJ, and you would choose VS Code because it's really lightweight and fast. Well, not anymore recently, and not necessarily recently. It was a gradual change. Then the fact is that most products with time get blotted. You can't do anything about it. There are corporate and product related decisions, stuff, and features get added, and I haven't heard features being removed from many products. And I want you to do a mental exercise right now regarding the fact that most products are designed for most devs. And right now, think about the most average dev that you can imagine. You know the person. You don't have to say the name out loud. It's someone average. He doesn't follow social media influencers, tech influencers in Twitter. He doesn't come to meetups like this one. He doesn't go to conferences. He's mid, basically. But the idea is that he does get things done. He starts work, picks up a ticket, punches some code, and closes the ticket and leaves. And yeah, that's its whole purpose. So you have a person in mind, right? Okay, now the mind-blowing thing is that half of the devs in this world are even worse than that, because that's what average means. And I would like to argue that products are made for the most of people. All the features, all the things, they're not really for power users. And I guess that if you're at this meetup, you kind of are interesting to use something and have a workflows better than average. And also you get put in product design or product engineering mode, because you start picking up different tiny tools and utilities and shell scripts that you put together yourself, and you will have a vision eventually on what you're trying to do, and experience that if you add too many stuff, it will get really flaky and stuff will break, and yeah. Also, it keeps you up to date. You start learning and paying attention to what other people do. The third reason to have a personal workflow is that you become more productive. You stay in the flow without staring blankly at spinners while the agent codes, and that's a good thing. You start eliminating drag and a million paper cuts that you may be hating about different products. It's just tiny things that are annoying, but if you do it over and over and over again, it gets really frustrating. And because of that, the more your flow is tailored to yourself, the more you're inclined to use it. And for example, you will have improved code review confidence, because if you find the way that you like to do code reviews, you will do it, right? Then it can also improve your code base understanding. You can have patterns, what to search, where to search, what subject agents to use, and stuff like that. And also it improves your feature planning and decision making, because reading a huge hundreds of lines markdown document that the agent generated as a plan, it's kind of tiring at a certain point. You start reading it very, very carefully, and when you're halfway through, you kind of start skimming through it, and you say that you review the plan. There are ways to make things more interesting regarding that. Okay, and finally, it's cozy, and this term is actually coming from podcasts on YouTube from TJ and Biggin. There are two guys that talk about things related to software and products and dev stuff that are cozy according to them, which means fun and pleasant to use. It's like that Danish term that I won't pronounce regarding well-being and hygge. Yeah, that's it. And yeah, basically turning your idea into tiny experiments, cozy. Cloud code blot and fear of missing out because some new feature just got released and you didn't have the time to learn about it and it stresses you, not cozy. Adjusting the environment to you, not the other way around, cozy. Running ultra code when it got launched without understanding what it does and burning your whole token budget, not cozy. Tinkering and playing with dot files and rising and stuff like that is one of the best remedies that I know of against burnout, and that's cozy. And yeah, burnout is definitely not cozy. I hope I convinced you that it's worth going down this rabbit hole. And now, how should we start about this? Let's just learn from the success of others. And I present you two technologies that were highly successful. You know this logo, probably. This is a JavaScript meetup. It's the winner of the Great Framework Wars, by far. And it's also known as the last framework that you will ever learn, because now with agents you won't really learn any new frameworks anymore. And the second one is the most installed operating system on Earth, and I promise you that next year will be the year of Linux desktop, even if we say that since 2000. The main idea is, what do these two technologies have in common? Why both they became hugely adopted and used, and they're more similar than you would believe. And that's what we're going to analyze. Basically, the secrets of great workflows and great products. You need three things. You need extensibility, because you can't possibly know what will get developed in 3 months from now, 2 months from now, and whatever system you build, you need an easy way to be able to extend it if you choose so. Then you need composability, smaller systems that easily talk to each other. Like if you have a shell utility, you can pipe its output into the input of another one and so forth easily. And then you need to build on good primitives. And a good example of a good primitive, if you used a GUI agent harness like Codex or Cloud Desktop or Open Code Desktop, whatever, and you look at the way they render diffs, you will find that it looks almost identical. And the reason is because it is identical. It's using the same underlying library, which is from Peer Computers. It's called diffs, and it's highly performant, very customizable, and yeah, it's a primitive that once people hear of it, it starts spreading like wildfire. How to start? I would recommend using CLIs and TUIs. TUIs come from text user interfaces, not necessarily graphical interfaces, and there are a couple of reasons for that. First of all, it's a lot easier to use Bash and Python to quickly just make an MVP of an idea, make a small tweak, create a script to do something that just popped in your mind. They're cross-platform, running anywhere without complicated compilation steps in Rust or Go, because if you start adding drag, the chances get higher for you not to do it. You don't have time, or maybe not enough energy. And you also, using CLI and TUIs, you leverage a lot of what the operating system has to offer. Like, imagine systemd processes, timers, different crons, pipes, networking, everything. You just use it with a couple of lines of Bash scripting. You don't have to build a programmable interface to access your network. Okay, which AI model should you use? That's probably a frequent question. Realistically, you have two options. If you're a professional developer and you need to get stuff done, you probably choose either between Claude or GPT. There are open weight models like GLM and Kimi, which technically they're good. Their price sounds better on paper, but they usually are more inefficient than these two models, and consequently use basically double the reasoning tokens. So they are cheaper, but if they use double tokens, the price is almost the same for a slightly worse quality. And local models, that's not really an option if you want to develop professionally and you have a lot of stuff to do. I mean, you could let something run overnight, but yeah, not really an ideal option as of now. Maybe in the future stuff will change. Right, so let's get to the tools section. Finally, you will probably be very productive and win a lot of mental clarity if you start learning tiling window manager. And why? Because once you get used to this, you start to notice in people, like they have 20 windows open and then they all tap. This one is the window that I want. And then again, they try to switch and then I'll tap. Oh, this one, okay. Some people who are more experienced use the expose in Mac, and this is the stuff that you do like this with your fingers, and woof, a lot of applications explode, and then you're hunting like a whack-a-mole. Oh yeah, there it is. Then you expand them again and you start again looking for the application. Basically what the tiling window manager does, it makes sure no windows ever cover each other unless you explicitly want to. And also it has virtual desktops, so you can have a lot more space. And there are three good options for each operating system. For Macs you can use Aerospace, that's a really good one. For Windows there's Glaze VM, that's good as well. And for Linux, of course, there are a million tiling window managers. Hyperland is currently the most popular. That's where all those the others one came from. And if you decided on a tiling VM and started incorporating it, then the next thing that you should probably choose or switch is the terminal that you are using. Please stop using iTerm 2 or even worse, maybe PowerShell or stuff like that, because there are terminals which are a lot more powerful, having GPU acceleration, nerd fonts for ligatures, and yeah, everything you might want to. They even display images directly in the terminal. Good options would be Western. This is my personal favorite because it's cross-platform. Then there's Ghosty, highly rising star in the terminal world. It's not available yet on Windows, but they promise that it will soon. Then there's Kitty, which is mostly a Linux thing, and Alacrity, which by design it has the least amount of features while also being GPU accelerated. And why that's important: if you use Cloud Code, CLI codecs and stuff like that, you get a lot of text. The terminal has to be performant enough to handle your agent rendering really well. The next thing would be a multiplexer. What's a multiplexer? It's something that on one hand has tabs and panes and splits, but more importantly, it prevents you from being that guy that walks with the laptop half open through the streets because the agent didn't finish its run and you don't want to close it. It allows you to detach. Basically, you start a task, you detach, you close the laptop and off with your life until you open it again and you see the state perfectly captured as before. There are many options here as well. Western has built-in multiplexing in itself. Then if you're old school, you could use Tmax. It's very common. And herdr is a new one. It's the one in the image, and why it's cool is that it's aware of AI agents. And if you can hopefully see in the bottom left corner, if you start a process that it discovers, that identifies as an agent, you can see it there and you see a list of statuses. So you can easily track which agent is running, which one is blocked, which one needs attention, without actually having to go through all your tabs or panes. It's very easy to run multiple agents in parallel. Next thing, worktrees. Worktrees were useful even before AI, but they're a lot more useful today. Basically, it allows you to create directories in a Git projects and just CDing in and out of them without having to stash your changes. Basically, you have as many branches as you want in parallel. Yeah, you can run worktrees manually. They're built into Git. Or there's worktrunk, which is a CLI utility that helps you even simplify all the worktree creation, naming of directories, where should the dirs that correspond to a certain branch be created on your file system. It basically has templates and also hooks, because it's important. For example, you have uncommitted files like an env file, and each time you create a task in the new directory, you somehow need to duplicate the env file because Git is unaware of it, and worktrunk takes care of this out of the box. Next, an agent harness. This is what basically runs your model. My favorite one is open code, but there are other good options. Pi is very minimalistic, and basically you build features yourself, I mean using the agents that you find in other harnesses. So it doesn't have permissions, it doesn't have a search tool, it doesn't have anything. It just has awareness of itself because it clones its source, and the fact that it's running Pi. And you just prompt the agent, hey, I need to do a web search, create a plugin to do that. And yeah, there's a lot of work into getting it to be what you already have in other tools, but you learn something along the way. Personally, it's a bit much even for me, and I don't have the mental capacity right now to going down this rabbit hole because it's a deep one. So that's why I chose open code, because it has a balanced set of features versus performance. And also there's Cloud Code, which is good, and probably 90% of works used professionally because of mostly corporate contracts, and then you also start to get used to it, and yeah, it's very common. As much as I like OpenAI and GPT models, I can't really recommend Codex CLI because their focus right now is in the Goya application, and it's a bit lacking compared to the others. Yeah, and also there's cursor CLIs and etc. And one interesting point is that you can use -p for most of them and run them in headless mode, so you don't really need to use the interface. You can just script their abilities. Then you need a diff viewer. Hopefully you're still reading the code. And I'm not even joking. This month's drama and tech debate on Twitter is if we should even be reading code at all, or just approve what the agent does. If you're old school like me, you do read the code, and you need a good diff viewer. There are many options. Besides the built-in Git diff viewer, there's Git Delta, which is very configurable. There's also Difftastic, which is good because it understands semantic diffing based on three-seater tokens, so it understands the actual code. If a line wraps, it won't show it as a change in the viewer. And finally, there's a new one, hang.dev, presented in this screen. And this one is really useful because it again has AI awareness, meaning that you can prompt your agents to explain stuff directly inside the diffs, and you can also leave comments when it does something in the diffs as well, to prompt it to change different stuff. And you can basically interact with the diffs, not just read them. Then on the subject of code editors, if if there's a chance you are reading the code, there's a really minimal chance that you're actually still modifying the code. But if you are, and updating different functions and typing by hand like a caveman, you want a code editor. There are I'm giving this talk in the light of San Francisco tech Twitter bubble, so probably it's a bit different from the real world. Yeah, there's NeoVim, there's VS Code, WebStorm, Cursor, whatever. I use NeoVim, and why I would root for it and would say that it's a really good moment to try it out is because you don't actually have to use it that much. Most of the code is written by agents, so basically all you have to do is learn a couple of skills like scrolling the page, jumping to definition, and that's kind of it. And how, yeah, most importantly, how to exit it. And regarding the configs, you can just prompt the agent because they're really good at Lua and writing NeoVim plugins. You just say create a minimal config, hook up some LSP servers from the languages that you use frequently, like TypeScript, Python, whatever, and yeah, you have go to definition, type information, all the things that you need. Plus, the shortcuts are extremely frequent in a lot of other apps, not just NeoVim itself. Going further, of course, you start realizing that, hey, maybe typing even for the agent is too much for your little tired fingers, and you will start playing with voice dictation. It works well if you work from home, but if you're in the office, I kid you not, this is a real product that exists and you can buy from Amazon. You hook that thing to your mouth and start talking, and it's connected to via USB to your laptop, and nobody around hears what you're saying, but the agent does. If you choose this path, there are some nice AI-based text to voice to text tools like WhisperFlow. It's very common. It's probably the most frequent used, but it comes at a subscription. I think it's about $20 or something, but it understands code. So if you say open, I don't know, create a plan MD, it won't literally write plan, then space, then MD. It would understand basic code syntax and stuff like that to translate it to text. Then there's OpenWhisper. If you don't wish to pay for a subscription, you can use it locally with local models, which I've said that for coding not that great, but for text to speech and stuff like that, they run really, really okay. And third option is Hex, which is kind of like OpenWhisper, but created by one of the devs at Anomaly, the company that creates open code. And yeah, I tried it, works like a charm. Without the actual hardware things that comes on your face, you can directly just speak like a human being. And next thing that might be interesting is networking. Sorry for the white blast. Two things interesting to learn about are Tailscale and Cloudflare D. Tailscale, you can use it to define different machines on your home networks. Perhaps you have a laptop and a server and maybe another old laptop that you use for who knows as a media server or stuff like that, and you can connect your devices to the network and access it outside of your normal LAN. So you also hook up the phone to it, and only you on your particular devices can connect. So it's not public, it's semi-public. And then Cloudflare D is just a CLI tool that creates a URL generated public API URL for whatever you are serving, in case you do want to share stuff with the outside world. Finally, don't sleep on Codex computer use. It's gotten extremely good, especially on Macs. You can use it to automate lots of stuff. For example, in all honesty, I didn't know how to make the animations for the bulleted list on this presentation, and I just told it, hey, for each bulleted list, create an animation of a second, and I saw the cursor starting to click on the little bullets, then click in the interface, set 1 second, select the next slide, and so on and so forth. And I just watched, and not only it did it for me, I also learned now how to do it myself and not blow tokens on this again, unless I have hundreds of slides to do. To wrap things up, I prepared a few ideas and understand that the limit is only your imagination if you start learning and piecing together different tools. I don't know, maybe I'll pause, and do you want me to read out loud the example of these prompts? I could read them, I guess. So the first example is, for example, implement plan-md, then use herdr to open a new pane to the right and leave comments on the diff using hung to explain the changes. Also launch NeoVim in a new tab with each change file open in a buffer so we can make manual adjustments if needed. There are a couple of tools mentioned. Your agent will understand how to handle each of them. And yeah, the next example would be, I don't know, start 5 sub-agents and use a work trunk to create a work tree for each one, so they can implement 5 UI versions of the dashboard. Take a snapshot of each result using Playwright and create a simple HTML page, host it using npx serve, and start a Cloudflare D tunnel so I can share it with my designer. Mind-blowing, right? And something less work-oriented, use Tailscale to connect to my Jellyfin server and recommend 3 comedy movies that I didn't watch yet. Give me a brief summary for each in a new herdr tab, a link to the IMDb poster, and a direct watch link. All these examples sound like a mouthful to type, but again, you can use voice dictation, or even better, you can just have slash commands and create skills for this, and you just type slash inspect, slash videos, slash music library, and it will do everything with just one command. Thank you. And yeah, let's connect. You can find me on Twitter, I'm there, or in the discords of tim.js. Thank you.